So, you clicked on this video, which most likely means you want to get better as Monster in Pillar Chase 2. And there's not that many monster guides out there, so I want to help. In this video, I'm going to be going through the current monsters and give a detailed explanation of what they do and how to play them, along with any other details you should know as well. And throughout this video, in typical Pillar Chase 2 fashion, I will be putting them on my own tier list, going from S rank all the way down to F rank based on my personal opinion. But before we talk about any of the monsters, I first want to talk about becoming the monster, as of course you should know how to be the monster to actually play the monster. What I want to talk about is monster chance. When you enter the game and everything loads in, there are characters at the top of the screen that can let you spectate people, and below it are the numbers you want to be looking for. If you know what this is, then congratulations, I just wasted your time. But if you don't, let me break it down for you. The short answer is this number is your monster chance. The person with the highest number will be the next monster. But if there are two people with the same number, then it's random of who that person is going to be. There are, in total, 4 ways to get monster chance. The first way you get monster chance is playing a round. At the start of the round, your number will go up by 1 each time. You may think that would mean getting monster takes a long time, but there are 3 other ways to get monster chance. The second way is to complete 1 set of the tasks. If you complete 2 sets of the tasks, you only get 1 monster chance from the first set you completed. The other way is kind of simple. You survive. Your number will go up by 1 again if you survive, increasing your odds even more. That means if you do good in every round, then getting a monster should be easy peasy. Anyways, those were the 3 ways to get monster Never mind. Robux, because there's always a way to throw money at people's faces. The last way is going to be the Robux shop. At the bottom, you'll click the Robux shop and look towards the top, and you'll see a button that you can click to buy more monster chance. It costs around 125 Robux and gives around 2 monster chance. Yeah, I like to play the game like a normal person. But anyways, those are the only ways to increase your monster chance. Which again, if you play Survivor well, then you should be getting monster pretty easily. And one more note to add before we start. If you want to hit survivors more often, I suggest going into the settings and turning on this one setting at the bottom that says Show Attack Hitbox. This setting will allow you to see your attack hitbox as the monster. I use this even though I know where to attack, and it's still useful, and it just shows how close you are to hit someone. Now that I explained that with this really scuffed intro, let's just move on to the first monster. Vapor. He's one of the first monsters you have unlocked next to Rosemary, and I'll be honest, I do not like him. But you might. So let's start off by talking about this guy's stats. He is one of the slowest characters tied up with another monster with 18 sprint speed. But he makes up with it with his 75 damage per hit, which used to be 85, but thank God he got a nerf. He has a total of 92 stamina, 2 passives, and 2 abilities. Let's start off by talking about his 2 passives: hallucinations and location. The hallucinations are kind of self-explanatory, as they make a player hallucinate vapor, which moves them back a bit, which is really annoying, because you'll be running, and if he gets near you, it's just... The second passive has to do with one of his abilities, so to make sure everything adds together, I'll talk about it with the ability. Starting off, he has 2 abilities: Demonic Shift and Spider Skull Summon. The first one, Demonic Shift, this is where the passive will come in. This ability allows you to teleport to your location you were at 20 seconds ago. Any player near that location will be highlighted. The way to tell where you will teleport is your passive. Your passive is that every 20 seconds, you'll create a dark sphere in that exact location. But the ability would be almost pointless, besides one fact that no one cares to look at. With his second ability, Spider Skull Summon, what it does is it summons up to 2 spider skulls that immediately hunts down the nearest player. The players can kill them by spamming E and absolutely embarrass you, but from what I was saying before, this can help your first ability. If you actually read the monsters you play, you can see that if a spider skull is chasing someone, instead of teleporting to the last location 20 seconds ago, you will instead teleport to the spider crab. When you teleport to a crab, that same dark sphere will spawn wherever you teleported to. It will also spawn whenever you kill a player, so you should take note of that. A lot of players that play Vapor are either new players or people that want to get diamond or gold ranks for every character, or one of the weird people that made him for fun. No shaming, I respect what you do, but I personally do not like Vapor. Now, to state for each character, I will also be talking about the maps they work best in, whether that be a narrow indoor map or an open outdoor map. And I will also include dark maps, and you might be confused as every map is dark, but there are brighter maps, which I will compare them all. Now that I finished talking about his abilities, let's talk about what map he'll be good in. For Vapor, I would say you would want open outdoor maps and darker maps, as that will benefit him more when he's using his abilities. The open area will allow him to go directly to any highlighted players and also help the spider skulls navigate to the players even better. Now for the tier list. To start, I'm going to put him as the first F of the list. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, a little side note. To make this somewhat fair, I am adding a rule that I must put at least one monster in each rank, but don't get mad if you don't agree with the tier list. Rosemary is the second character that is unlocked when you first start playing the game, and is my overall pick when I first started, and I currently have the best skin for her by anyway, the reason I picked her over Vapor is because she's pretty balanced, kind of. She isn't as slow with 26 sprint speed, along with 50 stamina and 30 damage per hit, a very big decrease compared to the previous monster. So she has 2 abilities that will help her, one being Demonic Shriek and the other being Echolocation. Demonic Shriek makes her scream and shake her head like she's having an autism break. What it allows her to do is blind any nearby player and increase stamina drain for 5 whole seconds. One thing you should know about this ability is that it refills some of your stamina, so when you use it, you should use it when you're chasing somebody. This ability can also highlight them as well, but it isn't as important as you'll see with the next ability. Echolocation is, well, echolocation. You know what bats are. This allows you to see any player from across the map for a long duration, which is why I prefer Rosemary, as I love using wall hacks that are respected from the community. To be honest, she doesn't have any more than that besides this amazing nurse skin. Okay, let's talk about the map. Honestly, for Rosemary, you'd be best in an indoors narrow map, as you'll be chasing people yourself the entire time. Basically, every indoors map has at least one dead end for any player that doesn't know what they're getting themselves into. For the tier list, I'm going to give her a solid C tier. Moving on.
Staring at your dress cause it's see-through. Yeah, talking all the shit that you done been through. Yeah, say that you a lesbian, girl, me too.
Getting into the locked monsters, we have Aoni. I'm sorry if I butchered that. This one's going to be kind of short. To start off, this character is fun to play even if you aren't good at him, as this purple hunk has solid stats with 22 sprint speed along with 100 stamina and 40 damage per hit, which honestly is pretty good compared to the other 2 monsters that we just went over. Aoni has 2 abilities, Oni Vision and Shapeshift, which Shapeshift is going to be the main ability that makes this character the most nerve-wracking character in this game. The first ability is Oni Vision, which is the main source of locating survivors, as it highlights all the players in the game, just like Rosemary does. And it also regenerates some stamina. So we're just completely copying Rosemary now. But the difference is that his isn't as long, and you can't use your other ability while doing it. The other ability is Shapeshift, which is really easy to understand. Aoni can shapeshift into any survivor in your game, making it the most fun with playing with any friend.
Hey, buddy.
Jacob, that's not me!
When shapeshifted into someone, you'll start sprinting as fast as a regular survivor, but with slightly decreased stamina drain. One thing to know is that if you press F on the keyboard, or some other button on the console, I forget which one to be honest, you'll hold out a black flashlight. That's important because that means Aoni cannot hold any other item besides a black flashlight. So if you're a survivor against Aoni and see someone with like a med kit, then you're set. If you see yourself, then I don't know what to tell you. Now he does have one small little passive, which you can see at the character. The border around the characters will change to purple instead of red or green, no matter what, even if you are dead. So that means you won't know who's alive and who's dead, making the shapeshift even better. Now, map wise, I'd say indoor and outdoor maps are good, but I prefer indoor maps as it's easy to get into a room or away from the people and shapeshift safely so no one can tell that you're going to grab them by the waist and bite them down like a rabid dog. Putting him on the tier list, I'm going to give him the first A. Now, there's not much to say about him, so let's just move on to the next one. Yeah, from the name, you can tell he's from that one Minecraft mod you've probably either played with or just seen on TikTok while fucking doom scrolling or something. Anyways, this monster is actually kind of hated on with some players, believe it or not. But the Fogborn, personally, I've started to like way more, as to start off, he has 25 sprint speed, along with 100 stamina and 30 damage, which if you remember is the exact same as Rosemary. Now, Fogborn has two main abilities, Foggy Stare and Thunder Warp. Foggy Stare will be your main way of killing survivors, as this ability, when activated, makes you stand in place for a few seconds and whistle at them. If a survivor looks at you in any way during this stare, they will get highlighted red, and instead of running to them normally, you'll gain a speed boost and crawl at them like you're the next Dr. Disrespect at the daycare. And when you go into this state, you will regain all of your stamina, which is great. But when you go into this state, anyone that didn't get highlighted won't take damage in the beginning. So, for example, someone far away from you stares at you, and you want to attack someone close to you, then you gotta wait like 3 seconds for you to attack them. This sounds great and all, but there's always a catch to these monsters. Fogborn has the worst stamina drain in this game. His stamina will drain super fast when you are sprinting. To make things better, his walk speed is slower than anything you'll see in your life. To make up for this, he has his second ability, Thunder Warp. This ability will make him go invisible and make him move at extreme speeds faster than any character in this game. Make this better, this will last forever until you click the ability again to reappear. Now, this isn't as bad to the survivors as you can slightly see him and you'll hear him when he rushes to you. Now, when you do this ability, you'll be able to see players for like a small nanosecond. So if you want to track anyone down, good luck. Now, for why I say he is the most hated is for one main thing. Without the Foggy Stare, he is almost nothing. Like, yeah, you can get to people without it, but chasing them is never happening. The reason he is hated is because all you have to do to counter him is... Yay! You just successfully countered Fogborn! Okay, like I said, I honestly really like him. He's got some good skins and good gameplay that's really fun. But for the map, I'd say you'd want an outdoor open map. You could disagree with it, but if you want to pull off a good Foggy Stare, then you want an open map because it's anyone who looks at you. And the thing is, you could be staring at his wiggling toes and activate this ability. Now, for the tier list, I'm going to give him a solid A, making it the second one out of this list. Now, for the next monster, we have... Okay, to start off, no, this is not Sonic EXE. It's some type of Sonic EXE named the Faker, but I don't know. The real Sonic EXE will be added later, and you can spot him at the campfire in the pregame lobby. Now, EXE is most people's first choice, but not for me. He has weird stats with a horrible 19 sprint speed, but makes it up with 110 stamina, with his damage at 40 damage per hit. Now, I personally think it's a little dumb that Sonic is almost the slowest in the game. But again, he's not actually Sonic, so whatever. It gets better as his abilities come in clutch for this. Let's talk about his passive. His passive highlights every player on the map for like 1 second. So he can constantly track people, which you want. Now, his passive activates every 11 seconds. So keep note of that. EXE has two abilities, being Too Slow and Thorny Grave. Even though you are slow, your first ability can help, as Too Slow makes EXE reach his arm out and get a speed boost, and if you touch anyone with that hand of yours, you'll grab them, pick them up, and bite them like you've got a mental problem. The ability will do around 50 damage, 10 from the grab and 40 from the bite, making 50 in total. But like the respectable gentleman he is, he will wipe his mouth, making you unable to move, but allowing the player to run away from you. Now for his second ability, which you'll probably be using the entire game, is Thorny Grave. This ability allows you to place up to 5 hidden traps. Now these traps aren't that hidden as they said. They are just little ovals of black sludge looking shit. When someone gets caught in it, they will slowly take damage till they get out of the trap by holding E or whatever interact button it is for you. When a player gets caught, they will be highlighted and you will gain a speed boost. But the thing is, you can actually disarm these traps if you get close enough as Survivor. It doesn't alert EXE, but you can see the traps through the walls. So if you see one disappear, then you've either added too many traps or someone's disarmed one. Now for some reason EXE can destroy the traps in free players, but I don't see why you would. But if a player gets to 5 HP, they'll be let out of the trap, so womp womp. I guess now for the map. I would definitely say that the narrow map / indoor maps are your best friend, as you can put traps in doorways, hallways, making it easier to catch people and make people get caught way easier as well. But if there is an open map and you can't find any good spaces for your trap, what I recommend is putting them at the objective. For example, in sewers, I hate sewers as EX, so I put the traps in the water, as you can't see the traps in the water. I also put them at the buttons, so if someone tries to run up to a button, they'll get caught and I'll get alerted. Now for the tier list. If you've been waiting for the tier list, I will be glad to say EXE will be getting the first tier list because I love playing as him. Moving on.
Here's a tip. Abandon ship or you're gonna see me. Campfire Willie.
So Baldi's up next with the least scary picture out of everyone in the game. Look at him. He's just happy to be there. Now personally, I find playing him fun, but as a console player, he's got to be the worst monster, and I'll get to why in a minute. Now for the stats, he's got maybe the most shocking stats with 74 sprint speed and infinite stamina, along with 45 damage per hit. Now I know that sounds overpowered, but the thing is, the 74 sprint speed is actually just the maximum you can go. So that means you don't start off with 74 sprint speed. As you play Baldi, you'll slowly go faster as things happen in the game. Now for the infinite stamina, the reason it's infinite, it's because you move exactly the way Baldi does in the original game, by slapping the ruler on your hand and echoing the sound and giving them flashbacks of the battle. Now for his abilities, he has two, Math and Anti-Hearing Tape. For the first ability, he drops a notebook on the map, and if a player runs into the book, a notepad will appear with a simple addition or subtraction question. Now this is where the speed comes in. For each question wrong, the round timer will increase and you will get faster. Regardless of answering questions, you'll just get faster over time as well. And to no one's surprise, if you kill somebody, you will also gain speed. Now this might suck because it's basic subtraction, but here's a catch. If you get a question right, you'll take 5 damage and Baldi will still get faster, even if you get it right. So as Survivor, just try to avoid the book as much as possible. But playing as Baldi, you want to find a good spot to put that notebook. Now the reason it sucks for console, because for console, you have to move the cursor, wait for the keyboard to pop up, type in your answer, Go to the arrow and then click it, instead of just quickly typing it in like computer. Now the next ability is anti-hearing tape. This ability makes you drop a tape that plays a high-pitched noise, completely drowning noise of your ruler slaps, and it also highlights any nearby players, which is a must-need. It is exactly like the tape you can find in Baldi's Basics, but in Pillar Chase 2. Now with these stats, it's easy to assume that the early game will suck, as you will suck at chasing people with your slow speed. So what you want to do to speed up is place your notebook strategically to where it's super hard for players to dodge it. Now for the maps, it's obvious the best map would be an indoor narrow map, so you can place your notebooks better and chase players easier. If it's an outdoor map, just try to find spots where it's hard to dodge the notebook if you're being chased, just so you can get faster. That's just it. As for the tier list, I'm going to give Baldi the first B of the tier list. He isn't my first choice, but he's still fun to use. Whew, Uncle Samson. From the little YouTube meme and series, he is a popular monster out of like any of the other monsters. But as of today, recording this, he's going to be getting a rework sometime soon, which will give him some different abilities. So for this video, I will be talking about the current ability and his new abilities coming in the new rework. But by the time you see this video, he probably already has the rework, but I'm still going to talk about his original. Now for his stats, he has bad sprint speed with 19, but he has 80 stamina and 50 damage per hit, making him two-shot anyone unless you're using a Percocet. Now this guy is currently the only one with 3 abilities, currently, by the way. The 3 current abilities are Sam's Domain, Dance Off, and Domain Traversal. Now this does seem like a lot to take in, but don't worry, it's honestly not that hard to figure out. For the first ability, we got Sam's Domain. With this ability, Samson will sprint forward and grab whoever's closest to him and send them into his domain. Inside your low budget domain expansion, there are 8 doors, I think, and the survivor has to find the correct door to escape out of. Now in this domain, all the colors are inverted and you can slightly hear the song Pony by Genuine. If someone escapes your domain, then sucks to suck, I guess. His second ability is his main source of stopping players from running. This ability is called Dance Off, and if you look at the top of the screen as a survivor against Samsonite, you'll see a dance meter. When Uncle Samson does his Dance Off, he'll slowly start walking while dancing. Anyone close to him will get their meters filled up, and if it fills all the way up, they will stand in place and dance, giving Uncle Samson a private show like it's the GTA shoe store. This meter will slowly go down, and once it's gone, the survivors will stop dancing and can finally escape. Whenever you attack the dancing survivor, they'll also just stop dancing for you. Now for his third ability, it's not as big, but it's important. Domain Traversal. What it does is, again, self-explanatory. You traverse to your domain. Whenever you activate this ability, you'll stand in place for a short period, twiddle your fingers like a schoolgirl, and teleport to your domain. In it, you can chase the survivors and attack them till they either get absolutely haymaker or they'll find the correct door and escape. Now, a few things to add with your domain. Even though survivors need to find the correct door, you can also use any door to leave. You can also reactivate your Domain Traversal, which will do the same animation and teleport you to some random place on the map, highlighting all the players. Another note, whenever you decide to teleport to your domain, you actually increase the round's timer by a little bit, which is super useful to know whenever you send anyone to your domain. Now for the most overpowered mechanic Uncle Samsonite has. If you decide to press F on your keyboard, you'll dance. Yep, that's all you do. You taunt them with like 3 different emotes. Now that's where I would have ended off with Uncle Samsonite's abilities, but soon, I don't know when, he'll actually gain new ability. With the previous knowledge of the past abilities, let's get into what his rework will be. For the first ability, instead of Sam's Domain, it's going to be replaced with Beat Laydown. This ability is the exact same as Dance Off, as holding the ability makes Samsonite dance and fill people's meters up. But one thing that is new is that you'll get a speed boost, but the stamina drain will be increased a lot. For the second ability, instead of Dance Off, it's replaced with Uncle's Wrath. Uncle's Wrath makes Samsonite stand in place and stomp, creating a big shockwave that will fill up people's meters a lot. Hitting someone directly will regenerate your stamina slightly, but it can stack if there are more players. It seems, so don't. And the last ability is the exact same. It's domain traversal, but you float like a cartoon character inside your domain. Now that I got the 3 abilities plus the rework, I think that deserves you going and clicking subscribe, please, and liking the video, because I'm honestly pretty scared making this, because it's new. It's new to me. I would love if you did click subscribe. Anyways, moving on. For the map, in my opinion, you'd want another indoor map. I personally don't really play Samsonite, but I'd want to be able to make sure survivors can't juke me out easily and escape from the Dance Off ability. So an indoor map is what you'll most likely need. Now for the tier list. Some would give him an S, but for me, I'm going to put him at A. He's a good character, but I suck at him. Now let's go to the next monster. Springtrap. Everybody knows Springtrap. If you don't, then I don't even know who the f you are. Now, honestly, Springtrap is the one who got me into this game. Whenever I first heard Springtrap was in it, I was like, yeah, I'll give the game a shot. And I became obsessed, and here I am now creating a guide for you. Even though he got me into the game, he wasn't my first choice. But enough rambling, on to the character. Now, Springtrap is honestly a pretty balanced character and a lot of people's favorites, but his stats are a little weird as he's as slow as Vapor, making him tied of being the slowest with 18 sprint speed. But it makes up for it as he has 120 stamina and 40 damage per hit. With his big long axe, he flaps around and Springtrap has 2 abilities that are honestly really good. The abilities being Ventilation Error and Phantom Step. Ventilation Error is really needed when chasing survivors, as when you use this ability, you will start to glitch out, making any survivors in a certain range have their screen flashing black and playing an alarm sound like you do in FNAF 3.
And you're really kind and cherished, and you know, I feel a deeper connection now that we're looking at each other in the eyes. Excuse me for a second, I'm gonna...
When you use this ability, you'll also move faster and slowly regain stamina, so it's very useful. Now the second ability is Phantom Step. This ability allows you to be covered in a cloud of thick smoke and move extremely fast, but the downside is you do have really bad vision, and I've ran into multiple walls, I'll be completely honest. But with this ability, you will highlight all of the players on the map for the entire duration, which is great for tracking, so use it. Now, if you run into a player while in this ability, you will jump scare their screen and give them the Fearful debuff, which will last for 17 seconds. The Fearful debuff will add 35 extra damage to any monster's left click attack. Note, any monster. Which, yes, means Springtrap does more damage, but that means if you're playing Double Trouble, the other monster will also do 35 damage. Know that. Note. If you are paired with the super strong monsters, then you can make them one shot if you both go after the survivor. Now, this isn't all that he has. He has 2 little details that I want to add on. Throughout the game, he will play voice line. This depends on 2 things. Either 1, Springtrap is close to a player, or 2, Springtrap is low on stamina. So that's something you might want to look out for as survivor. For the map, you definitely want an indoor narrow map, as the ventilation error will make the player make out with the wall and make them panic even more, adding it to your favor. Now for the tier list. Springtrap is now the second S rank of the list, so let's just move on. Now, MX is my personal favorite, and I'm glad to be talking about him. He was the first character I bought. Now, MX did recently get a nerf in damage, but it was a deserved nerf in my personal opinion. Now, to start off, he has 1 passive and 2 abilities. The passive being Bloodlust. This passive has 3 perks to it. Whenever you kill someone, you'll activate this passive. What Bloodlust does is it will give you multiple bonuses and highlight anyone on the map for a short period. Now, this is his only way of tracking players. The last thing it does is it also refreshes the cooldown of his abilities when he gets a kill. Speaking of his abilities, he has two of them. One being Charging Demise and the other being Pow Hop. Now, the Charging Demise, in my opinion, is a gamble when you use it. What it does is it makes MX charge forward yelling in a straight line. If you end up getting a good position, you can almost fully kill someone as it hits multiple people and pushes them in whatever direction you're going in. Now, I say it's a gamble because when you run into a wall, you do get stunned for like a second, but you gain stamina back as pity for your dumb mistake. Another reason it's a gamble is that all the survivors have to do is... So use this ability at your own risk. Side note, you can also use this ability to make distance from a survivor smaller as you charge forward. Now for the second ability, which will be your main ability to use, Pow Hop. Pow Hop is where you do a Mario 64 long jump forward and move extremely fast. Unlike the Charging Demise, you can control where you go in the air. Now, what makes this ability so important is multiple things. One being, whenever you do this ability, nearby players will get a small alert flashed on their screen saying jump now. If they don't jump during this, they will be knocked to the ground for a few seconds, allowing them to taste the leather of your ship. That would be it, but there's always something. When doing this ability, if you land on someone, you will instantly kill them. Yes, completely kill them in one shot. So, if you're skilled enough, you can get amazing clips like this. You do get 350 XP when you instant kill them, but the thing is, if you're trying to level MX up, you probably want to use Charging Demise as it gives you a lot of XP. Now, MX has an ancient skin being Mr. Virtual, which has an amazing song. Now for the map, for MX, you want a narrow indoor map as it allows you to have a better window of successfully pulling off a Charging Demise and having a high chance of landing on someone with Pow Hop, just so you could get that sweet, sweet insta-kill. Now for the tier list, you can probably guess where I'm putting him. S rank, I love MX. And I recently got gold if you want to see that little clip. Self-promo. So that's it with MX. Let's move on to the next monster, which honestly is pretty good. Now, if you don't know, the Forest King is based off a Super Mario World ROM hack named The. Yeah, just the word The. Now, I'm going to call the Forest King a they, as it has the appearance of Princess Peach, but it's like a demon spirit or whatever inside of her that's male, which is why they call themselves the Forest King. So I don't want to confuse anything, so I'm calling a Forest King a they. Now to start off, I honestly really like Forest King. It's important to know the stats because they only have 20 sprint speed along with 100 stamina, and their damage you can see is 25 to 40. Now if you're confused, this is because when you're sprinting, you'll use your antlers to attack players, only doing 25. But if you stop sprinting, you'll do 40 per hit with your weird stick arm. This is really important when playing as the Forest King because you want to do the more damage, so you should take note. Now, Forest King has 2 abilities and 1 passive that I'll talk about at the end, just to remove any confusion. Now, the 2 abilities are Glitching Blitz and Lurking Facade. Now, the Glitching Blitz is a projectile ability. The ability allows you to shoot out a glitchy projectile in any direction your head is looking in. So I would recommend going in first person when doing this ability. Now, whenever you hit a player with this projectile, the player will get a glitch status effect. This is not a passive, and it's only for the ability. This status will slowly damage them as they get a glitched overlay on their screen. Now, this ability doesn't seem as good, but you can shoot these through walls, which means you can hit somebody from across the map if you know where they are. Now, for the second ability, Lurking Facade. What Lurking Facade does is what you'll need to know when playing the Forest King. When you use this ability, you'll spawn a floating head that will roam around the map. Now, the roaming part is kind of weird because what it really does is if a survivor is near, it immediately locks onto them. But if there's no one near, it kind of just sits there. I don't know, but yeah, whatever. Now, you can spawn up to 4 of these at once. Whenever they are near anyone, they will highlight them for you, showing where they are. Now, the main part is when they hit a player. When they hit a player, they will get chained to a small root in the ground, making them stuck in a small radius, giving you a speed boost. The root lasts for about 8.5 seconds or 8.5 seconds if you want to get technical. So if a head hits someone, you'll put them on a leash like a misbehaving rabid dog. Whenever a player is getting chased by these heads, they will have an overlay effect where their screen will go red and see a bunch of text saying him over and over. Now, whenever you do hit someone, it'll activate your passive again. This passive, when activated, makes you regain 15 stamina and gain a small speed boost when sprinting or walking. That's really good because you don't need to be near the survivor. If they got hit, you'll gain the speed boost no matter what. Now, for the map, she works best, again, no surprise, in an indoor narrow map, as the heads wander around and go through walls. So you want a narrow map so it's harder for the survivors to see where the heads are coming from, just so they can't dodge them as easy. Now for the tier list, from what they do, in my opinion, I'm going to give them an S tier. Some may disagree, but I don't care. Suck it up, Buttercup. This is my tier list. You came here to learn, not argue. Moving on. Now, Whist, short for Weird Yellow Smiling Thing, is Pac-Man. I feel like that's so obvious, man. Everyone knows who Pac-Man is, and if you probably don't, then your brain's got to be the size of an underwater sea pickle. Anyways, I love this guy. Now, his default appearance is my favorite, and his chase music is honestly the best too. This guy racks up in his appearance, but in his abilities and stats is why you came here for. For his stats, he has a set of 21 sprint speed, 100 stamina, and 30 damage per hit. He might not be as fast by himself, but he can get faster with 1 out of 2 abilities. The abilities being Gobble Bomb and Frenzy, or what I like to call Feral Mode. Now, his first ability is Gobble Bomb. By itself, it's not as good, as when you use this, you shoot out a white pellet that will bounce around and explode either when it comes into contact with the player or just after 2 seconds. Now, you can hit these pellets early and make them explode. I've never pulled that off, to be honest. There is another trick to this that I'll talk about in the next ability, Frenzy. Now, what Frenzy does is when you activate it, you'll stand in place for a few seconds, shaking like you got Parkinson, and will give multiple bonuses. The bonuses include faster speed, faster attack, and highlighting all the players on the map for a good amount of time. But note that this will make you run out of stamina drastically. Now, this isn't all that the Frenzy does, as you'll still be able to use Gobble Bomb, and this is what's important. When in Frenzy mode, instead of shooting 1 lousy pellet, you instead shoot 3 in like a second. So if you want to hit a good Gobble Bomb, you will want to go into Frenzy mode first, because 1 bomb isn't going to be enough to kill someone with full health. Now, it's safe to assume what map you'll need, but I want to talk about something first. I was playing Whist one day, and whenever I did the 3 Gobble Bombs, I figured if you look to the left and right as fast as possible, you'll shoot them in the 3 directions, creating a spread shot. Now, this might not be useful to you, but that's just a trick I learned, and you might not be using it the entire time. For the map, it's safe to assume that you'll want another indoor narrow map, because it's going to greatly increase your chance of hitting the Gobble Bomb, as, of course, it's narrow. Now, I do want to note, while using your attack, insane attack range. Kind of broken, but honestly, it's a deserved thing. Anyway, tier list time. Now, for the tier list, I'm going to give him a B just because he's not my cup of tea, but he is not bad. I swear this rank doesn't mean I don't like him. Now for the next monster we have Niloticus. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Niloticus? Godzilla, Man in the Suit, whatever. Off. Before I go into this monster, I said it earlier, but he isn't from the Man in the Suit. Yeah, he seems like he would be though, but the creator has stated it's just a character his friends made up. So he's not the Man in the Suit. F you, I'm calling him Man in the Suit. Now, I'll be honest, I barely use him and probably won't use him that much till I want to grind for rank. But that doesn't mean he's all bad. Now, he has one of the lowest base damage, as he has 27.5 sprint speed, 38 stamina, and only 20 damage. I'll be honest, these stats kind of suck. Now, there is a character with less, which you'll see next, but he can get more. That makes Niloticus, Niloticus? The character with the lowest damage per hit. Now, it does get made up as he does have multiple buffs that you probably won't tell until you read it. I'm here to tell you what they are. When playing as Niloticus, compared to other monsters, you'll have better hearing, making you hear people from farther away. And as you are playing, you can actually hear people's heartbeats if you're close enough. Now, those aren't as important, but it's still good and helpful to know, as I don't know, I don't like Niloticus. Now, Niloticus has 2 abilities and can give 1 debuff. His 2 abilities are Godly Leap and Irritated Mist. Now, Godly Leap is another gamble because when you use this ability, you'll leap really far forward in whatever direction you are facing. If you come into contact with a player during this, you will grab them and bite them for 25 damage. There is another perk to this, but I will talk about that later. Now, the thing is that this ability is really stupid because for some reason he's got reach in width that is insane. Like, you could be so far away and still get hit from a stupid grab. Now, for the second ability, Irritated Mist. When you activate this ability, you will stand still and spit out a puddle of radioactive mist, or what looks like vomit, that lasts for 30 seconds. When spawning this puddle, do also increase the timer slightly, so you do want to use it often. Now, when a player runs into this puddle of mist, they will gain the Irritated debuff. The Irritated debuff will slowly damage someone and block their screen with effect, and when a player is irradiated, they will be highlighted and any of your attacks will deal extra damage. This is where the Godly Leap is good. When you bite them, you will do way more than 25 damage. So knowing what that debuff does is very important when killing people in this game. Now, if you want a good chance for people to run into your mist, you'll want to put the mist in places that it's either basically impossible to go around or just hard to. When you place your mist, you will also see a little icon, so if you want, you can try to lead the survivor to your mist, giving you a higher chance to get them the debuff. Now, in my opinion, he's best for an indoor narrow map, so you can place your mist into hard to dodge hallways. But honestly, he can still be good in both outdoor and indoor, as the puddle is pretty big, giving you a big radius. Now, I'm sorry, but for the tier list, I'm gonna have to give him a D. Honestly, I just don't really like Niloticus all that much. As monster, he's good as playing him, but I just don't find him that amusing. Sorry, not sorry. If you've watched all of this so far, I would like to say thank you so much. But if you skipped, hello! And here is now the final monster in Pillar Chase 2, currently in the game, Vita Mimic. I have to say, honestly, he is one of the most scariest monsters if played right, just because of how he's used. He has a lot to him. He has 1 passive, 1 debuff he can give players, and 2 abilities. Now, his stats can change as you play, as he has 21 sprint speed, 100 stamina, and 15 to 30 damage per hit. This means he starts off at 15, but can go up to 30 if he's played well. Now, it's not the same as Forest King, it's kind of the same as Baldi, but in damage. But the first thing I will talk about is his passive, Advanced Hunter. This passive allows him to deal extra damage to any player that is alone. you will do an extra 10 damage, which honestly is pretty scary, especially once you reach to 30 damage. And whenever you get a kill, your damage will increase by 4. Again, the max is 30 per hit. Now his two abilities are Elder Ascension and Animalistic Instinct. The first ability will be your main way of sneaking up to the players as you go fully black. Not invisible, but completely black. While in this form, you will gain a speed boost and your footsteps will be extremely quiet throughout the entire time you have this ability activated. Now it gets even better when you know that this will last until you attack. That means there is no time limit for this ability. It only goes away when you attack. Now the second ability, Animalistic Instinct. Animalistic Instinct. This allows you to highlight any player that is extremely close or if they are in your line of sight. Meaning if you can see them, they will be highlighted. When doing this ability, you won't be able to sprint at all, but you'll still move very slowly. Now this isn't the only thing it does, as if you hit any highlighted player, you'll actually give them the bleed debuff, which I'll talk about now. What this debuff does is it makes them deal high amounts of damage over time, as in most games with bleeding does. But this ability only lasts for a short duration. The Vita Mimic can see the players that have the bleed debuff on, making him most likely to target whoever has it, gives him a higher chance of killing them. Now this is what I'll do. If the survivors are in a group, I would use the ability and attack any highlighted player. If another survivor is near, I would change my focus to them, as the other player has the debuff and will still take damage, meaning as you attack the other player, you'll have a high chance of killing them both. Now this is a scary character as it's really hard to see the Mimic without a flashlight, but inside Baldi's Basics you can actually see him without a flashlight pretty well, as it is one of the brightest maps. Now for the maps, as I was saying, any map that isn't too bright is really good for the Vita Mimic. As in open maps, you'll be able to highlight more players, but in indoor narrow maps, you'll be able to sneak up on them and lower their chance of escaping. So either map is pretty good for him. He is a well-balanced character in my personal opinion. Either way, this character is honestly pretty good, but I absolutely suck as him. For the tier list, the last monster, I'm sorry, but I am going to give him a C, but I'll agree with anyone that goes any higher. What the fuck? D, I don't count this as a monster. What is this? Well, that is the Lethal Company mask, and all you do is put it on and just slowly attack people. The only reason I'm adding this in this list is because it has its own ranking. If you put on the zombie skin for Vapor, you'll be able to see this rank. Besides that, I don't really see the point, unless you want to team without actually fully teaming. That's about it. That was it. So those are the only monsters currently in the game, and those were my detailed explanations of them. And if I missed anything or got anything wrong, please let me know down in the comments below. If you didn't agree with the tier list, sucks to suck, man. I really don't care. Anyways, if you want any other guides, let me know again what kind of guides you want. I've already have some ideas. If you want to see more, I recommend subscribing and following my Twitch, as I live stream this game often, down in the description. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new, and hope you good luck for the next time you monster.